All right, Battletech kiddos. Here's something different for today. Here's the plan. I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna give you a setup from a recent game that I played, and you have to guess how did my opponent outmaneuver me in this situation. I'm going to start out talking about the units that were relevant in this part of the battlefield. So on my side, the maneuver that we're talking about happened near these two long-range units of mine. The first of them was the Avatar OG, the two Gauss rifle version of the Avatar. And in this game, I had taken this mech in my list as you might expect, a long-range sniper, something to stand up on a hill with and shoot down at enemy units from those Gauss rifles' impressive medium range. Now the second unit involved on my side was one that I was kind of using to guard the Avatar. And this was a unit that I've only taken a couple of times, but I think that the build that I used for it is really cool. So this is a Shrek AC carrier, not the Shrek PPC carrier that you're used to, but one that has 3 AC5s instead of 3 PPCs. Now, your first thought might be, why would you want 3 AC5s instead of 3 PPCs? But then maybe it occurs to you, oh yeah, those AC5s can take precision ammo, right? So my setup for the Shrek AC carrier was I gave it a really elite pilot, like a 2-3, I think it was a 2-4 pilot. And I gave the Shrek as well precision ammo for those 3 autocannon 5s. So when it was shooting at a light mech that was moving fast, it was like the tank had gunnery skill 0. So basically it was like this tank that was firing almost like an elite pilot firing 3 medium pulse lasers that have 18 hex maximum range and 12 hex medium range, right? So it was kind of just this unit for sniping out light mechs, taking them off of the battlefield before they got close enough to really be a threat. That was the conception I had for the Shrek AC carrier. And then my opponent in this game, it was Pirate, who I've mentioned a game with him previously on this channel. He had a light mech called the Ice Storm 2. So this is a super fast clan mech, walk 12, run 18. This thing flies. And it's got a cool arsenal. It's got 2 heavy medium lasers. So, obviously not the easiest weapons to hit with, but those 2 big 10-point chunks of damage for just a little bit over 850 battle value. Yeah, I mean, this is not a mech that has a ton of resilience, but it's got more armor than, the more heavily armored Locust designs. So the armor is not nothing on this thing. And it just, if you hit with it, you hit like a ton of bricks. It's a cool mech. So here's the situation that my opponent was in. This is on the exact map that we were playing with. And, he had his Ice Storm hidden behind these hills away from my Avatar and my Shrek. Now take a look. The yellow are the locations that the Ice Storm can run to. And of course the blue is the locations that the Ice Storm can walk to. And think to yourself, what's the move that my opponent Pirate can make in this situation that will really screw me over? If you're having trouble guessing, I'll show you a situation from the previous turn when I made a mistake, right? So the previous turn, I had the Avatar and the Shrek right on top of each other in the same hex. And then because there was an enemy mech that I wanted to get in range of with the Gauss rifles, I made a boo-boo and I moved the Avatar into this adjacent woods hex. Okay, so if you haven't thought of it, pause the video and think to yourself, what was the move that would be ideal for Pirate to make in this situation? Alright, so now you can see if you guessed right. What he did, which was extremely optimal, like basically the best move available to him, is he moved right on top of the Shrek with that Ice Storm. He took the thing and ran it on top of the Shrek. It's easy to forget that your opponent can run and stand on top of your vehicles because of course they can't do that to your mechs, right? There can only be one mech in a hex, but there can be multiple units in a hex if some of them are not mechs. So it's really easy to kind of like think that tanks fight just like mechs do, but actually a really big difference is that enemy mechs can go into the same hex and stand on top of them. And when they stand on top of them, the tanks can't fire at a unit that's in the same hex. So that Shrek AC carrier was the only unit that I had in the vicinity that could pose any kind of a real threat to the ice storm, and by going and standing on top of it, he basically made the ice storm immune to my fire that turn. If you look at the firing arcs, the situation available to the Avatar, if the Avatar, of course, it could fire its left arm Gauss rifle if it torso twists, but then the Shrek AC carrier is 2 hexes, or excuse me, the ice storm is 2 hexes within the Avatar's minimum range. So the Avatar is not going to be able to get anything like a decent shot at that ice storm. The Avatar also has medium lasers that could fire at short range, but those are fixed forward on the center torso, so those weren't going to be any good to me in firing against the ice storm. And meanwhile, the ice storm was able to turn torso twist towards the Avatar to bring both of those heavy medium lasers to bear. So it was a really nice move. He got a free shot basically at the Avatar without any real chance of my doing any damage to him. And as a matter of fact, the way that the game went, it paid off. And he actually got a hit that went through the torso armor and destroyed the engine on the Avatar. So this actually brought the undamaged Avatar down in one turn. So what I should have done, of course, was keep the Avatar in the same hex as the Shrek AC carrier. And then in that situation, my opponent wasn't going to be able to do what he did and place the ice storm somewhere where it could fire at the Avatar, but the Shrek couldn't return fire. Okay? So I needed to keep those 2 units together. The general battle plan I had of using the Shrek to support and protect the Avatar from light mech attackers, that was a fine plan, but I screwed up when I got those 2 units out of the same hex. They should have stayed in the same hex together. And as just a broader moral of this story, keep in mind that moving on to enemy vehicles can be a really nice move. Actually, a lot of the time if an enemy vehicle is sitting around there and you have a mech that can go and stand on top of it, you should do it, because the vehicle is not going to be able to fire on that mech. And also, by the way, the mech can kick the vehicle, so he also got a free kick against the Shrek AC carrier that turn. Just a little lesson to me to keep in mind that tanks aren't just little mini versions of mechs. They behave very differently, and one of the big differences is that tanks can stack together with mechs in the same hex in a way that mechs can't.